Good evening. A new Northern Ireland protocol is being proposed by the government. The Brexit Minister, Lord Frost, has presented a new legal text to deal with trading arrangements for Northern Ireland as part of a keynote speech in Portugal. Lord Frost has also warned that a protocol will not work if the European Court of Justice has a role in policing it. He's been setting out the UK's position ahead of new proposals due to be published by the EU tomorrow to try to resolve some of the problems with how it operates.
Meanwhile, the DUP has faced strong criticism in the Assembly over its boycott of North-South ministerial meetings in protest at the protocol. Our political correspondent Vicky Hawthorne joins me from Stormont. Let's start with that speech by Lord Frost. What was his message to the EU?
Well, Paul, this was, of course, the much anticipated speech by Lord Frost to diplomats in Portugal this afternoon, viewed as being significant because it was coming and has come on the eve of these proposals due from the EU tomorrow on the protocol. Lord Frost used his speech to talk about an entirely new protocol and to repeat the government's belief that the current arrangements for trading in Northern Ireland are creating an imbalance and need to be fixed. Specifically on the role of the European Court of Justice, the UK wants a new mechanism to take place of this. The EU has accused the UK of making this a new red line in negotiations. The UK says that is not the case. It is not a new demand. And Lord Frost said today, and he made it very clear, that the future of any protocol rests on this issue being resolved.
But it's not just about the court. Is about the system of which the court is the apex, the system which means the EU can make laws which apply in Northern Ireland without any kind of democratic scrutiny or discussion. None of this, we can now see, will work as part of a durable settlement. Indeed, without new arrangements in this area, no protocol will ever have the support across Northern Ireland it needs to survive.
And what's been the local reaction then to what Lord Frost has said?
Well, pretty much as you would expect, unionists have welcomed Lord Frost's comments and are looking ahead to the proposals due from the EU tomorrow. Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, the leader of the DUP, has said now is not the time for tinkering around the edges of the protocol. He has said similar things in the past. The Alliance Party, however, has accused the government of creating more confrontation with the EU ahead of those new proposals. And the Taoiseach in Dublin, Leo Varadkar, has said that these proposals from the UK, particularly around the European Court of Justice, will be very hard to accept by the EU.
And linked to that, the DUP's non-attendance at North-South Ministerial Council meetings came up again today.
Yes, if you remember yesterday, the High Court ruled that DUP ministers were acting unlawfully by not attending North-South Ministerial Council meetings. This is their boycott in protest in how the protocol is operating. Paul Givan, the First Minister, faced an urgent question on this from the Alliance Party in the Assembly today. He was asked whether DUP ministers would now return to those North-South Ministerial Council meetings in light of this court ruling. The First Minister said this was the whole ruling was being considered. However, as we understand it, some North-South Ministerial Council meetings are planned for later this week. However, when asked about this, the First Minister said he denied that these meetings were officially scheduled, thus, as it sounds, creating a loophole potentially for the DUP.
There are no scheduled meetings that have been sanctioned by way of the agenda or attendance taking place this week. Can I just say, Mr. Speaker, in response to that, I have signed off in line with the statement that was made by the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, that when it came to the issues around health, that would be an area which should be able to continue. And that meeting I have cleared to take place this week.
Finally and briefly, Vicky, what's going to happen next?
Well, with those North-South meetings, we will of course keep an eye on those as to whether there's any change in stance from the DUP. It does seem unlikely at this stage. We'll keep an eye on goings-on on Friday when we understand some North-South meetings are scheduled. In terms of the protocol, we of course wait for those EU proposals due to be published tomorrow. But of course that will just be the start of several weeks of intensive negotiations between the EU and UK.
Vicky, thank you.
Emotions were high at times in the Assembly chamber earlier today as MLAs backed the next stage of a bill which proposes the creation of safe access zones outside premises which provide abortion services. Those supporting it insist that vulnerable women do need to be protected.
Those against the bill say they fear an impact on freedom of expression and the right to protest. Judith Hill reports.
I was spat at. I was assaulted.
This bill is an all-out assault on freedom of expression.
Imagine the heartbreak these placards and loudspeakers cause.
I do not believe this bill is the right vehicle.
Emotive stories, personal contributions, deeply held views as MLAs debate a bill that proposes the set-up of safe access zones outside premises which provide abortion services. Green Party leader Claire Bailey, who shared of her experience as a volunteer at the Mary Stopes Clinic, is behind the bill.
This was not protest, certainly not protest as I understand it. What is happening on our streets is a very deliberate campaign of harassment and intimidation against women.
Scenes like this are in focus. Here, anti-abortion campaigners protested outside the Mary Stopes Clinic when it was open in Belfast city centre. In the Assembly, all parties were clear there is no place for any threatening or abusive behaviour. But the DUP and TUV are concerned about potential impact on the right to protest.
We are setting a dangerous precedent, trying to impinge other people's opinion.
It is our view that the aim of punishing and deterring such behaviour on health and social care premises could be realised via existing mechanisms.
Abortion was decriminalised here in 2019 and Westminster legislated for change. But controversy over the implementation of that and access to services goes on.
When people are accessing healthcare, they should not have to run a gauntlet of hate and harm.
This bill is simple. It's about compassion and empathy. It's about supporting women, protecting their right to access health.
Recently, we have seen the rise of the much-needed discussion on the harm, intimidation and violence against women in our society. I feel that this bill before us today addresses a real part of that issue here in Northern Ireland.
These safe access areas will provide police with absolute clarity.
In a statement, the Health Minister said no one should be obstructed or intimidated from accessing lawful healthcare services. He said it is for the Assembly to determine whether the proposal set out in this bill will provide an effective means for protecting those rights alongside the rights to freedom of assembly and expression. Robin Swan said his department will support trusts in implementing any decision taken. The bill and its plan was backed by a majority of MLAs. It will now go through committee stage and face further scrutiny. Judith Hill, UTV Live.
A report from a group of MPs has found that a lockdown was avoidable last year and serious errors and delays cost lives. In a wide-ranging report, the Health Select Committee said that decisions on lockdowns and social distancing during the early weeks of the pandemic and the advice that led to them rank as one of the most important public health failures the United Kingdom has ever experienced.
There have been calls to help more than 100 staff who have lost their jobs following the closure of JMC Mechanical and Construction. The announcement was made last night.
The County Down Company provided maintenance services to the housing executive and other social housing providers.
There is an onus, I believe, on the company and indeed on the Department of Finance and the Economy, first off to make sure that there are safety nets involved for those people who find themselves having to go onto welfare and maybe never have navigated the welfare systems before. And obviously the Department of Communities has a role in assisting them there. But also, most of the work is there, and I know that some of the people have already been offered other jobs because we already know there's quite a big shortage in the construction industry.
Police believe that they have saved lives after seizing over £1.3 million worth of illegal drugs in just over 2 weeks. The crackdown is part of Operation Dealbreaker, targeting the drug trade across Northern Ireland.
In a period of just over 2 weeks, we have removed
£1.34 million worth of suspected drugs from streets and communities right across Northern Ireland. In this time, we have conducted 94 searches, seized 317 drugs exhibits, made 129 arrests and charged 55 people for drug-related offences. We have also worked alongside our Border Force colleagues in the interception of packages containing suspected drugs sent through the postal system.
Sport now, and Northern Ireland is in World Cup qualifying action tonight against Bulgaria following its loss to Switzerland on Saturday. It leaves Ian Barraclough's side with a very slim chance of qualifying for the World Cup next winter.
In the summer and last month we shown that we have got those players who can be clinical, and we'll create plenty of chances, I hope, and when those chances come around, we make sure we test the goalkeeper. It'll be a Bulgarian team that will be hurting from losing against Lithuania, so I expect some sort of backlash from that, and a team that's going to come at us pretty fiercely.
I think we probably still be a bit more confident on the ball, a bit more forward thinking, and I think as forward players we need to start taking our chances when we get them and be a bit more ruthless in the final third.
Liverpool goalkeeper Caoimhín Kelleher makes his first start for the Republic of Ireland tonight. The team takes on World Cup hosts Qatar in a friendly in Dublin. Kelleher is one of 3 goalkeepers, all aiming to win the starting spot for Stephen Kenny's side in the future.
Well, the weather forecast is next. Here's Louise Small.
Now you're home. It's right as rain. UTV weather, sponsored by Phoenix Natural Gas.
Hello there, good evening. Most places stayed cloudy through today with just the odd isolated shower, and over the next few days it really is a similar story. Looking at the pressure sequence, high pressure is in charge of our weather, but there is a weather front just skirting around the edges of that high pressure, bringing cloud and patchy light rain. We will have a few clear spells developing through this evening with some mist and fog patches to lower levels. It's going to stay dry overnight. Temperatures will dip under clear skies though, dropping to lows of 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, so not quite as mild as we have had recently. Wednesday will start off fairly misty and murky as that fog lingers through into tomorrow morning. As it starts to clear, we'll have more in the way of brightness, with a few sunny spells breaking through in the afternoon. Staying largely dry though through the day, with highs of 15 or 16 degrees Celsius, so feeling pretty pleasant in the sunshine. Across the rest of Ireland, it's off to a cloudy start, but it will brighten further south with blue skies for much of the day and highs of 16 degrees Celsius. Looking ahead, Thursday will stay mostly dry and cloudy. Friday is going to be a fresher feeling day with sunny spells, but it's going to feel that bit cooler. As temperatures dip, we could see the return of frosty nights from Thursday. That's the very latest. Have a lovely evening.
Home means more sitting back, snuggling up and relax. UTV weather, sponsored by Phoenix Natural Gas.
UTV Live at 6 is shorter this evening because of the World Cup qualifier between England and Hungary.
ITV News continues with Mary Nightingale. I'll be back with the late bulletin at 10:30. For now, from Rose, from me and the rest of the team on UTV Live, good evening. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Good evening.